Thank you for the introduction. I'm Yusuke Ujitoko, and this project is the joint project with my two supervisors, Yuki-ban and Koichi Hirota. The title of which is the Modulating the Fine Roughness Perception of Vibrotactile Textured Surface using Pseudo-haptic Effect. This is the brief summary. We propose a method in which visual oscillation of like this movement of left and right and back and forth can enhances the vibrotactile roughness perception. We found two things through user studies. First, visual oscillation enhances fine roughness at high probability. And second, as visual oscillation size is larger, users feel the texture rougher. The background of this study is the recent popularization of vibrotactile actuators. These vibrators can provide virtual vibrotactile surface feeling such as roughness or stiffness. So then, how to design the vibrotactile surface experience is becoming important. And let's assume the vibrotactile surface design process. We assume the process example like this. This seems to be a typical one. The process starts with the hardware side design, such as the vibrator design, which vibrator we use, and also the case design. Next, after the hardware side design, the software side design starts, such as the vibration waveform design, such as amplitude or frequency or timing. And this comes, and after that, experience of the vibrotactile surface test is conducted. The process can be iterated, but the order of each step will be the same. And sometimes there emerges a problem. The hardware side constraints narrow down the latter side of the design, the software side design. For example, controllability of frequency and amplitude or the response latency of the vibrator selected, which are defined by the vibrator selected, can be constraints. Also, the mechanical coupling between case and the mechanical coupling between case and finger or the mass of the device, which are defined by the case designed, can be constraints. In order to design the vibrotactile surface experience for a wide variety of applications, such as games or contents, the designers of a vibrotactile experience would like to design the wide variety of vibration in a wider design space. So, we propose a pseudo-haptic based vibrotactile display, which is completed whole in the software world. As a first step, we selected the roughness as a target dimension of modulation within the various texture perception, and we propose the display which can present a wide variety of roughness feeling with only limited kind of vibrations. And this is the concept. We focus on the pseudo-haptics. Pseudo-haptics is an illusory haptic feeling. Users feel when the watching pointer's speed changes. For example, when users see the pointer accelerating, users feel the illusory resistance on their finger or mouse. The advantage of this approach is there is no need for the complex or bulky haptic devices. So we'd like to utilize this pseudo-haptic concept. And there is a previous existing study that focused on the pseudo-haptics with vibration feedback. Hitachi modulated the vibrotactile stiffness using visual feedback. They modulated the motion of ball bounce when hitting the musical instrument. However, there is no study targeting on roughness, and that's our interest. And this is our concept. We enhance the vibrotactile roughness by visual oscillation. The simple example case is illustrated below. There are two kinds of sensory stimuli. One is the vibrotactile stimulus, and the other is the visual stimulus. Even the same vibrotactile stimulus are presented to users from vibrators in pattern 1 and pattern 2. The pointer corresponds to the contact point, visually oscillates in pattern 2 and or not in pattern 1 could affect the vibrotactile roughness. So our hypothesis is in the pattern 2 with visual oscillation enabled the impression of rougher surface to users. If this is true, we can modulate the vibrotactile roughness experience even after the hardware side design or vibration design completed. And we conducted two user studies to test two hypotheses. First one is visual oscillation could enhance vibrotactile roughness. And second one is the size of the visual oscillation could make users feel surface rougher. And this is the first experiment. Our first user study tests the first hypothesis. In this user study, participants compared the vibrotactile roughness between two different areas where the vibrotactile stimuli are totally the same, but the visual oscillation was enabled in one area and disabled on the other areas. And this is the captured movie during the trials in users' tasks. Users move the pointer using vibratory pen through two consecutive areas and judge which they felt rougher. In this case, the left side is the area with visual oscillation and right side is the area without visual oscillation. We used the vibrator and we embedded the vibrator in the touch pen and used it. The experimental appearance is like this. And there are three frequency conditions for vibration and 4 visual conditions for visual oscillation. And thus there are 12 conditions in total. For each condition, participants did 10 trials. The virtual texture surface and the visual oscillation is controlled by the expressions like this. And this is the results. The orange area shows the number of times when users felt the texture rougher with visual oscillation. In all conditions, participants felt vibrotactile texture rougher with visual oscillation. Approximately 80% of answers said the surface with visual oscillation was rougher. And this is a subjective experiment. And next, we conducted the other study in a quantitative way. The objective of this user study too is to test hypothesis in which, as the size of visual oscillation larger, felt vibrotactile roughness is larger. In this study, we asked the participants to adjust the amplitude of vibration of area without visual oscillation so that the felt roughness will be the same. So we attempted to evaluate the effect of the size of oscillation based on the adjusted amount of amplitude value. And this is the captured movie during trials in user task. Participants move the pointer like the user study 1 and adjusted, and they adjusted perceptual roughness by changing the amplitude of vibration of area without visual oscillation. In these settings, users adjusted the amplitude of vibration on the right side by changing the amplitude. And this is the result of user study 2. The vertical axis shows the ratio of applied voltage on the vibrator of non-oscillatory area to that oscillatory area. And in other words, this means the amount of adjusted amplitude, and or the effect of visual oscillation, and the horizontal axis shows the visual conditions. As a result, when the size of visual oscillation was larger, users felt as if the vibrational amplitude was larger. Approximately 5% of amplitude is modified by the visual oscillation. It suggests the fine-tunability of vibration using only visual information. The large limitation of this study is our method needs the pointer, which shows the contact point of the texture surface. So it's not directly applicable to the touchscreen interactions. And this is the conclusions. Thank you for listening.
Hi, interesting work. And one thing I'm not sure is that during your experiment, normally the physical vibration is a function of stroking velocity and also pushing force, normal force.
In our experiment, we use the stroking speed, but not reflect the normal force.
Okay, you control the stroking velocity, I guess. But I guess you didn't control the pushing force from the participant, I guess.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
It's really interesting work, but when people judge roughness of a surface, we can also use visual information. So according to the results of cross-modal perception, people say weight of judging roughness with a vision and haptics of half and half. So my question is, so when you scan a surface, if you give those visual disturbance of pointer cursor movement, is it possible that people actually see the visual roughness instead of haptic roughness? So instead of being like affecting the people's judgment of tactile roughness, could it be, is it possible that you are actually giving effect on the judgment of visual roughness?
If my understanding of your question is correct, in the first study, participants answered in a subjective way, but in the user study 2, they answered by changing the physical vibrations amplitude. So they answered instead of the subjective way, in a quantitative way.
Okay, thank you.
So next time, the presenter again.
Thank you.